Cow Palace Dave says, James, I remember Cowboy Frankie Laine wrestled in one of Roy Shire's famous battle royals in the early 1970s. I believe Dutch and Frankie Laine held the tag team title together. What memories does Dutch have of Cowboy Frankie Laine? Well, I mean, surely great memories. I mean, you and he made huge money together.
Made a lot of money together. You know, when they put us together, went to Puerto Rico on January the 6th. Now you say January the 6th is Insurrection Day. But January the 6th is Three Kings holiday. Now, if you're a Catholic, you know that. I'm not a Catholic. I'm more closer to being a heathen than anything. So it was a huge holiday in Puerto Rico, and nobody ever told me. I says, it was like a Tuesday too. I went, what is January the 6th and a Tuesday, and who's going to come to the show? So we went over there, and it's so completely out. There's like 16,000 people in that building. Now, and Frankie, I never met him before that day. We went into the office. And Frankie was kind of hard to understand because you'd be talking to him and he'd be doing this. And what happened is he got in an argument with a wrestler named Zulu. And Zulu went out of the building and then came back out and brought like a 2x4 and hit him in the back of the head.
It was like a wrench or something like that.
Maybe something like that. And I almost killed him, almost dead. So that's why he had trouble talking, and he was always blinking his eye, but a great, great worker in the ring. He could still go. So the day after the January the 6th, or 2 days after, Carlos Colon, who owned the territory, he was a booker and an owner, he invited us down to the office, and we're going to talk about what we want to do. Well, hell, I'd never been asked what I wanted to do before. I was always listening to the booker, and I would say some things to him, whoever he was. So we're going down there. We got a cab. And me and Frankie were going, and Frankie, he would talk like this. He said, well, Dutch, they're going I didn't hardly know him, really. He said, they're going to ask us what we want to do. What are we going to do? And I went, well, and I just had an idea. I says, listen, why don't we do this? Let's present to them the $1,000 silver dollar challenge match. Just off the top of my head. Because I had read about $1,000 silver dollars. And in Puerto Rico, they didn't have them. But any team that could beat us in 10 minutes or less on TV, we'd give them $1,000 silver dollars, American silver dollars. So we went down there and we sit down, and Carlos, he looked at us and he's like this. He always smoking a big cigar. That cigar was damn 2 foot long. He said, well, what do you guys want to do? He's asking us, or asking me, what we want to do. Hell, it's his company. I said, well, we got this great idea. And I give him the $1,000 silver dollar challenge match. Oh, he loved it. He said, man, that is good. That is really good. He said, but let's change it. What if not that any team can beat you, that a team that you have to beat the team, whoever the team is. And that gave us a hell of a start, because now, and I didn't know it, but we're telling a story. And every week, we was on TV every week against the team, and they would bring the silver dollars out, because they could go to I forgot who had the silver dollars, but the other owner down there was called Victor Jovica. And he was from Croatia. Now, what he was doing in Puerto Rico, I have no idea. And he couldn't speak Spanish, and he couldn't hardly speak English. So talking to him was a chore. But anyway, they give us $1,000 silver dollars, and they would put it out at TV every time we was in the ring. And so if any team beat us or we couldn't beat that team, they would get the $1,000 silver dollars. And then we took it from about January to about March to when we shot the angle with Carlos and another guy, and they beat us. And we had a riot we was in a TV studio. We had a riot in the TV studio. One little woman, she had looked like she was about 80. She come up and hit me in the back of the head with not a chair, but something. It wasn't her purse. It was like some kind of club. It didn't hurt me or nothing. And that's when we started the 9-week run of sellouts. And we would go to those buildings. The matches would start at 8:00. I'm sorry, 8:30. It's supposed to start. And we would go into the arena. We would go in early because we had to get there early or you couldn't get a parking spot in big stadiums. And we'd have to get there about 6:00 and they'd be lined up to go in. So for 9 straight weeks, we sold out every baseball stadium we were in, and we set a record there. And I said this on the show the other day, that I bought my first house off that 9-week run. So, but Frankie was a great worker, but I always thought we only stayed there 9 months. And I thought, well, why? And we were still a hot team. I said, why are they, they gave us they released us for whatever reason, I don't know. But I was about ready to go anyway. So you stay in Puerto Rico long enough, you get what they call island fever, and you just can't stay there anymore. Plus, it was very, very dangerous going to those matches. Those people really wanted to kill you. I didn't know that, but I know it now.
I've got some follow-up questions about Frankie. Was he in Puerto Rico before you, or were you both brought in on the same day?
No, I think he was we both flew in the same day. I think he was in Puerto Rico again after me. Mm-hmm. I think that's what happened.
I'm just looking at his matches. I think his final matches were actually in the WWF, so he was just doing some jobs there at 87, and he stopped wrestling after that. So he started wrestling in the 60s. Detroit's AWA, still in the 60s, that kind of thing.
Well, he's Canadian. I forgot what town he was from in Canada. Edmonton, Windsor.
Alvinston, Ontario, Canada, it says.
Okay.
So, where were his biggest successes apart from Puerto Rico?
Frankie's?
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't. I think it was probably for the Sheik. In the Sheik's territory in Ohio and down through there, and not Chicago, but I forgot. Sheik ran Detroit. It was Detroit down into Ohio, Dayton, and all those towns. I think he had some success there.
How was he as an interview, as a talker? Or did he just rely on you?
He couldn't talk. If he talked, he couldn't sell one ticket. And he just stood back behind me, and this is where I learned to do interviews too, because I was doing an interview and they would say about 15 seconds of your interview and stop, or 20 seconds and stop, and the translator will pick it up. Okay. And he'll translate your English into Spanish, and then he will come back to me and he says, and go ahead, sir. So this is where I learned, don't talk about your opponent so much, because instead of attacking them verbally, I attack the fans. And I said, hey, listen, I hate this place. I said, you people sit on here on welfare. I said they were all on welfare. I said, the guys all look like, I didn't say this, but I did say they all look like homosexuals. And the women looked like underpaid prostitutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, we don't need to give you people another dime of federal aid because you don't know English. And I think it should be required that everybody speak English. And they said, well, maybe you need to learn Spanish. I said, no. And this is what got me a lot of heat. I said, Spanish to me is a primitivo idioma, which is a primitive language. That's what got me the heat. So, and I'd go down the street, and that's how I learned to cuss in Spanish. They'd say, I forgot the cuss words in Spanish, but when they started, if somebody says it, I will know what it is. But they would call me SOB and bastard and this, that, and the other, and everything else. Just going down the street. I couldn't walk 5 steps without somebody saying something to me. So it got so bad at one point, I had to stay in my room at, it was on the 7th floor. I was on the 7th floor. And I just stayed there and drink beer. And see, we only worked 3 days a week. Sometimes we worked 4, but your work week started on Friday. You go to Ponce, which is about an hour and a half drive. And then Saturday was the big town around San Juan. And then the Sunday show was usually on the other side of the island, Mayagüez or something like that. And that was an all-day deal. And that was an afternoon show too, so you'd have to leave about 11 o'clock in the morning. So, but I enjoyed Puerto Rico, and I mean, when I got down there, I thought, how long has this company been in business? I thought they'd been in business like 20 years. They'd only been in business like 2 years, 3 years. Hell, they were just breaking in. So, but I survived it and didn't enjoy it, but I did survive the whole trip.
Did you ever team with Frankie after this? Was there no thought of ever starting up this tag team again? Because obviously it worked.
No. Like in another place.
Same place. I mean, you could have done a revival of a couple of years after.
We could have, but by that time Memphis had gotten hot. I mean, we were doing 10,000 people in Memphis every Monday. Money was pretty good. So there was no need to leave when we were making money.